Welcome back to Street Switch Photography. We've got Keir Starmer, who doesn't seem to like the Jews and doesn't want them going to football matches. I'm over here on Nova Media at the moment. They're just about to do a live on it, so I thought I would do some live coverage on their live coverage. Now, if you don't know who Nova Media are, they're a far-left YouTube channel. They're basically idiots, but yeah, this is why I do it. Let's do it.
Street Switch Photography.
So welcome back. Yes, Keir Starmer and this football thing that's happened with Aston Villa, saying that nobody from Israel is allowed to come and watch an away game at Aston Villa, Villa Park. Now, I was an Aston Villa supporter. I won't be supporting Aston Villa anymore. But what's basically happened is there's been a lot of media about this on the mainstream media as well. Actually, I was quite surprised at that. But here it comes. Here's the live video from Nova Media. Let's see what they say about it. The far left. They're going to come up with something along the lines of it's to protect them because of what happened in Manchester and all the rest of the bullshit that comes along from the far left. That's my my prediction. So let's just see what happens. Whilst we wait, I'm going to get my live chat up. Oh, my stomach. Here we go. 2 people watching. So we're just waiting literally for Nova Media to go live. Are they going to go live? See how many people are watching them. 0 by the looks of it. Is it going live? They must have messed something up. Something isn't right. There's loads of people watching. We've got the Palestine flag there. Look, free Palestine. You do know the war is over, don't you? Clearly not, because you're all a bunch of bloody morons. But we're still going to go out with our flags and we're still going to go and protest about absolutely nothing. They'll be complaining about the colour of dog shit next. Let's have a look at some of the comments that are coming up until it goes live. Hello everyone. Nothing is happening. Yeah, they've probably realised that there's nothing to actually talk about anymore because it's over for the far left, isn't it? In the nick of time. For what? Sam Wilkinson, in the nick of time. So yeah, this is Nova Media. This is a far left YouTube channel which I found a couple of weeks ago and I've been keeping an eye on it. They've had Zach Polanski on here. They're quite a big thing. I think they're big into like the Green Party and things like that. But I mean, as you can see by some of these comments on here, look, looks like.
Hello, good evening.
Here
Welcome
we
to
go.
our live. My name is Aaron Bastani, and I have the immense pleasure of being joined this evening by Helena, aka No Justice MTG. Helena, how are we?
Good, good. Looking forward to the end of the week.
That's a bloke. That's a man. Look at the chin on it.
As always, definitely been an interesting news day, so looking forward to the show.
It has been a very interesting news day. So lucky you if you're joining us on tonight's show. Some really juicy topics coming up this evening. Keir Starmer has condemned a ban on Maccabi Tel Aviv fans attending an upcoming Europa League game against Aston Villa. And we've got an interview with Palestine.
Well, I predicted that they'll basically try and turn around and say it's for the safety of the Jews or the safety of Israelis and things like
Actions
that.
Huda Amore following the government's failure, yes, failure, to stop a legal challenge against the prescription of Palestine action. Stay tuned for all of...
Why? We don't need Palestine action anymore. You Ryland-looking mother. We don't need that anymore. We don't need Palestine action. They're a terrorist organisation. So let's just get that out there to begin with. These people support terrorists, basically.
Of that. If you'd like to support our work here at Novara Media, you've heard it before. I'm going to say it again. Sign up at NovaraMedia.com.
I'd rather shit in my hands and clap. Yeah.
Help us build a new media.
I'd rather
politics. Join Michael Walker's Barmy Army. And of course, make sure to let us know your comments tonight using the YouTube chat or just simply tweeting at us or me.
The loony lefts are out in force tonight on a Friday. Be careful, everybody.
On the hashtag of our life. First story. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is angered. By what, you might ask? Is it the unacceptable levels of child poverty in Britain, which have reached new record highs?
I mean, make it clear, these guys don't like Keir Starmer. They like the Green Party, Zach Polanski, the same guy who says, if it quacks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's a duck, but believes a man can have a vagina. That's the same bloke. Zach Polanski. The absolute, complete and utter loony left that thinks a woman can have a penis. The same bloke that thinks you can grow women's breasts by giving them hypnotherapy. The same bloke. Exactly the same bloke. This is who they like.
Human excrement, tainting our water supply, the housing crisis, or even the impending climate breakdown threatening all human life on this planet. No.
Which has been proven scientifically to be complete and utter bullshit. It's bullshit. It's been proven. It happens once every 25,000 years.
Starmer is in fact angry because one of Israel's most violent football firms will not be allowed to attend a football match in Birmingham. A safety advisory
group
and
that
West
right?
Midlands.
Did he say one of England's most violent football firms? The Jews.
Police have advised fans of Israeli Premier League team Maccabi Tel Aviv FC to stay away from the November 6th match against Aston Villa at Villa Park.
Now, they're going to try and lay this on what happened in, I think it was Venice or somewhere like that. Was it France? I can't remember. There was another football match where basically the Tel Aviv and the Israel supporters, there was a big sort of fight and everything else. You get this in football now and again. This happens. I wouldn't call them what he just called them. They're not football hooligans, they're far from it, and basically they've been banned because they're Jewish. That is the only reason, because they're anti-Semitic. This channel is an anti-Semitic channel. It's as simple as that. And they can try and paint over it with whatever whitewash they want to. It won't work.
And it's not difficult to see why.
This is not even England, I don't think. Now, we could compare these to Palestine Action, who broke into an RAF base and sprayed red paint in all the engines of the planes, who are now prescribed a terrorist organisation. Or maybe we could, actually link this to two Jews that were murdered in Manchester just recently. That was something to do with the far left as well. The far left like to do this sort of thing, equals Charlie Kirk and the 2 assassination attempts on President Trump. But there you go. They'll try and come up with as much bullshit as they can so they can still take to the streets over the weekend and sort of protest about a war that is no longer happening. But Hamas still will not drop their arms. They won't give up their arms. So President Trump will sort that out. Is this even Great Britain? Now just take it that you can't trust these words that are coming off on the screen. They could have edited this to put these words up within the video, so just be aware of that. Now let's look at some evidence of how violent the Palestinian side have actually been. They did October the 7th for a start. Thousands upon thousands of people were murdered, taken hostage from Israel over into Palestine and Gaza. They did unspeakable things. I challenge anybody to watch the video of the body cam footage from Hamas. You will not be able to watch it. It's hell. That's the only way I can describe it.
For those of you listening to this show on the podcast, those were Maccabi Tel Aviv fans filmed in Amsterdam last November.
That's not England then, is it, you twat? That is not Great Britain. You complete idiot.
Before and after a match with Ajax Amsterdam. Those chants included, "Fuck the Arabs, you're the hordes of Arabs, we will take your girls' love to part."
So what they're doing is they're tarnishing every single Israeli with the same brush here. This is what the left do all the time equals they call us far-right Nazi fascists. This is exactly what they do. We can see it for ourselves. We know what it's about. We know how it works. And we know it's just another day at the office for them. And it actually means absolutely nothing. So...
Party. We will rape them. And in one clip, hooligans are seen tearing down a Palestinian flag. And Maccabee...
Now, this may have been a bunch of football hooligans. It looks like a couple of thousand. How many Israelis are there? They're not all Arabs. They're not all Jewish. They're a mixture. So they haven't just banned Jews. They've banned certain Arabs that live or lived in Israel as well. They are just anti-Jew. It's anti-Semitic. And this is what Keir Starmer said he was going to put a stop to. And he's actually said something online saying what he thinks Aston Villa has made the wrong decision. But yet he was talking about this a few weeks before. So he's lying yet again, the same as he is about the China case. It's an end of days for Keir Starmer now.
Tel Aviv FC fans are notorious for causing disruption and aggro at away games. And when they were in Amsterdam for that match against Ajax, police said fans burned a Palestinian flag as well.
Can you blame them after what happened on October the 7th? To be quite honest, I think that's rather mild.
While shouting, "Fuck you, Palestine," as well as vandalising a taxi. Fans were also filmed chanting this.
And let's just make it clear. Over in Leeds... 2 years ago, or was it a year ago? It's 2 years ago. There was a child taken away from one of the housing areas around Leeds, and all of the people decided around that area, and it was Palestine, that they would wreck police vans, police cars, wreck people's homes, set fire to cars and everything else. Shall we tarnish everybody with the same brush there, mate, as well? Shall we do that? Because you seem to do it for people that support reform, calling them Nazi far-right and everything else. So we're going to do it to you now. We're going to tarnish you with the same brush, you terrorist-supporting scumbag. Thank you to Joe Jones. Deadpool, yes. Hi, guys. Thank you. Thank you both. Great
There
work.
are no children left in Gaza. Translation: why is school out in Gaza? There are no children left in Gaza.
Yeah, because what happened there, mate, is the IDF dropped loads of leaflets, you see, to tell everybody to get out because they were going to bomb it. And then what happened was Hamas came along, grabbed everybody, put them in schools, put them in hospitals and used them as human shields. That's what happened. If you look at the IDF's mortality rate of shootings and things like this for killing terrorists, because that's what Hamas are. They've recently shot 5 people over in Gaza, okay, execution style, and you sit there and say that.
Really important statistic, by the way, with regards to Gaza.
Yeah, let's have, where did you get your statistics from? I bet it was Hamas.
That sticks in my mind. You know, I've been using that statistic recently a lot about Gaza.
Because that's all you fucking got.
Size of the Isle of Wight being subject to more munitions by weight than Hamburg, Berlin and London combined across the whole of the Second World War.
So why don't we just sort of mention October the 7th then? You can't go up and punch somebody in the arm and then when you get hit back, go and shout the victim about it, can you, you plonker?
2.5 million people. There's another one. Within 2 years of the Ukraine-Russia war, there were 30 recorded cases of Ukrainian children who had a limb amputated, child amputees. 30 recorded cases within 2 years. 30 too many, of course. A tragedy for each of them. I can't imagine what it's like to have a child subject to that kind of torment and suffering. 30 in 2 months.
They pretend to love the children, yet they want all these immigrants over in the hotels and stuff, and we know what happens there, don't we, around local areas?
2 years. In the first 2 months of the Gaza conflict after October 2023, in the first 2 months, not 2 years, there were 1,000 documented incidents of child amputees in
Thanks to Hamas.
Gaza. So 30 in 2 years in Ukraine, 1,000 in 2 months in Gaza.
Now you're trying to compare Hamas to the Ukraine. Fucking moron.
And there are people celebrating that, and apparently you're meant to be happy that they can come to the UK. In fact,
shall we take a look at the internet, if you want to go over and type this into Google, Palestine action celebrating the death of thousands over in Israel after October the 7th. Just recently, actually, that happened, didn't it? Just saying.
If you don't think they should be here to watch a football match and smash stuff up, it makes you racist, according to Keir Starmer.
Then use our resources and get the police there and let them come in and watch their team play, instead of flaming condemning them and being anti-Semitic.
Maccabi Tel Aviv hooligans also set off fireworks and took iron scaffolding tubes and wooden planks from a building site.
And Palestine Action have never set off fireworks or anything of the sort, have they? You see, it's just basically calling the kettle black here. That's all they do, the far left. That is all they do. That is all they have.
Used as weapons. Some were shown running through the streets swinging belts, and local youths responded by chasing down fans in Maccabi colours on e-bikes and scooters. And just in case you were wondering, Ajax beat Maccabi Tel Aviv 5-0. It's not difficult to see why the Safety Advisory Group and West Midlands Police might want to avoid those sorts of scenes.
Because they're anti-Semitic and being run by a globalist organisation that is Marxist and communist, correct?
On the streets of Birmingham. Aston Villa said the Safety Advisory Group issued...
Now, what's the demographic in Birmingham, by the way? Is it mostly Arab, Muslim, I believe? Yes, it is, isn't it? So I wonder why they'd want to ban the Jews from coming to watch the football matches. Just saying, yet again, just saying. There's going to be a lot of just saying here. Questions they can't answer if you ask them. Questions they can't answer.
Safety certificates for every match at Villa Park, quote, based on a number of physical and safety factors. But Keir Starmer isn't happy. He posted this on X earlier today. This is the wrong decision. We will not tolerate anti-Semitism on our streets. The role of the police is to ensure all football fans can enjoy the game without fear of violence or intimidation.
Do you secretly think he actually agrees with that? No. Don't be dumb. He doesn't agree with it at all. He wanted this to happen because it takes the heat off him and China, because he's a communist Marxist idiot, isn't he?
That is precisely why they made this decision.
Never take your eye off the ball.
That is why they made the decision, to avoid violence and intimidation and criminal damage. Because guess what? They're the police. They're there to ensure public order. Kind of the job.
So they stopped Jewish people going to a football match to avoid violence, like they've never had violence before in Birmingham with the Palestine protests and everything else, and one football match is going to change all of that, is it? Yet I guarantee there will be a Palestinian protest this weekend. Yet Birmingham Council are actually applying to have all of the Raise the Colours flags taken down. That's very telling, isn't it? Very telling. Exactly what Birmingham has now fallen. And it's people like him that help that along.
Job. But because these particular fans are Israeli, Keir Starmer has a problem with it. And by the way, this is really key. We're now at the stage where the police doing their job is being labelled effectively as anti-Semitic by the country's prime minister. We're not talking about Jeremy Corbyn or Navarra Media or Zara Sultana being called these things, these disgusting.
And we all know who Zara Sultana is. That's Jeremy Corbyn's best friend, who's always arguing with him about who's got power over the Green Parties that put in Zach Palensky. I don't even think they're out to do with the Green Party, are they? Is that a totally different thing now? I don't know.
Things, anti-Semitic. We're now seeing a national police force, by the way, West Midlands Police, one of the biggest police forces in the country, effectively being slandered by the Prime Minister in real time on social media.
Being slandered. Okay, here we go. Racist, Nazi, far right, fascist, pedophiles. Slandered. That would explain my Saturday video of people having targets put on their backs, like the Jews that got murdered over in Manchester just recently. You complete and utter tool. Wow.
Yeah. Quite extraordinary. If you want to understand how completely bust the political system is in this country right now, there's a great snapshot.
We know.
Starmer doesn't stand for much. But apparently he stands for allowing racist foreign football hooligans to rampage through Britain's.
Oh, the race. So Jews are now racist. I can give you a list again. Calling for global intifada, calling for global genocide, calling for from the river to the sea. All from Palestine Action, who are now a prescribed terrorist organisation written by the government.
Cities while shouting about raping girls. But some people think Israel shouldn't be allowed to take part in FIFA tournaments.
The left, you mean, not some people. The left, the far left. Not all leftists, but the far left, like yourself.
All. This image is from a 2015 meeting of the Camden Palestine Solidarity Campaign. It's been circulating on social media. Although
Question for Joe Jones. Do you want digital IDs? Do you agree with having digital IDs?
Starmer said in 2021 he had never supported a boycott of Israel and had never supported the campaign to expel the country from FIFA. However, Keir Starmer in 2025 presumably thinks that that banner is
But we'll let Russia play.
anti-Semitic. Why?
Because it is. Because it is.
Is it anti-Russian racism to say that Russia shouldn't be in a football tournament?
Russia have got the biggest amount of nuclear weapons on the planet. Okay. Putin is not someone you really want to mess with, but we need to. We need to let him know who's boss. Under this government, we've basically licked the arse of them. We've stuck up for the Ukraine and everything else. We'll see what happens when reform get in, and we'll see what Trump does, because he's going to meet Putin very soon, apparently, according to un-mainstream media.
I don't think so. You might agree or disagree with the decision. I don't think it's based on racism. I think it's based upon the fact they invaded a foreign country illegally.
They invaded a foreign country illegally, so he's trying to blame Israel for invading a foreign country illegally. Let me make this clear, okay? Israel gave Palestinian people land and everything else, and then they go attack. There's a lot of history there. A lot of history, and it's proven now. Palestine actually doesn't exist, if you look back at the history.
But Downing Street says Starmer is, quote, angered by the decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans.
He's pretending to be angered.
From the Aston Villa game, and has promised to do, quote, everything in his power to ensure all fans can go to the match.
So fuck all then.
Starmer's deputy spokesperson also said this. Football has been a unifying force for decades. Everyone should be able to attend a football match without fear of violence or intimidation.
So can we say that football hasn't turned far left when we've got people like Gary Neville blaming everything that's wrong in the world on white British men? White, middle-aged British men. Angry ones at that.
Regardless of their religion, nationality or background. We cannot have a country where we have to tell people to stay away from an event because they can't be protected or they may be a victim of racism. Football has been a unifying force for decades. Yes! Precisely because the violent fan culture of the
Judaism is not a race, it's a religion.
1980s is a thing of the past. How is it unifying? How does it bring people together to have a genocidal, racist football firm help?
I'll say it again. October the 7th.
Bent on destruction and criminal damage, running riot.
Hamas not sticking to the deal to release the hostages and lay down arms. Still wanting to go to war. Recently killing 5 people. Execution style with hundreds of people recording it. What is wrong with these people? Are they mentally ill?
In Birmingham. How does that bring people together? These people have absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
That's a bold statement coming from you, mate, isn't it?
Because it's Israelis involved and because the Zionist lobby has gone to town.
Oh, there you go. That's Zionist. Zionist is just another word for Jew, basically.
Because the right-wing press spots an opportunity.
Right-wing press.
Well, of course, you have to all of a sudden say crazy things like West Midlands police are anti-Semites.
They are.
And even if they've done an assessment with regards to potential public disorder, I don't care.
See, the problem here between the right and the left is you get the left calling us Nazi, you get the left calling us fascist, you get the left calling us racist and everything else, and they have absolutely not one shred of evidence whatsoever for normal British working people that they are any of these things. Yet we've got piles of evidence to say that these people are anti-Semitic and that they are violent with recent murders and things that have happened. So they've got absolutely no room to say that whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm the Prime Minister. It has to happen. Let's say it happens and hundreds of people are hospitalised. Even if you think it takes two to tango.
Then it will be the police's and local authorities' fault, won't it? If they put the right people out on the streets and get enough police there and everything else like they normally would for a normal football match where two firms used to meet and fight. That used to be called football hooliganism. Go and watch Green Street. And that's how they dealt with it. So it'll be no different. And I'm sure there's racism and I'm sure there's fascism coming from both sides. But I can imagine why one side is a little bit angrier than the other. But why? I mean, half the bloody... Let's think about it a minute. Okay, so who actually plays for Aston Villa? And who plays for Israel? Some of the Israeli players are Muslim. I'm pretty sure the captain of the Israel team is a Muslim. Or at least Arab.
Who's responsible for that?
Not
I'll
you.
tell you who's responsible. Keir Starmer. If that happened, he would have to resign. Of course, he wouldn't, because he would say it was.
If that happened, he'd have to resign. Twat.
It was all because of anti-Semitism. It was all because of other things. Nothing to do with me, Gov. Just like him being in front of a banner saying Israel out of FIFA has nothing to do with him either. The man never takes responsibility for anything.
Like you not taking responsibility for going onto the RAF base and putting red paint all in the engines of the planes, causing millions of pounds worth of damage. Spraying red paint up Barclays banks and things like that, causing thousands of pounds worth of damage. Putting hammers through windows in Manchester, causing £1,000 worth of damage. But hey ho, that's life, isn't it, mate? Boo hoo.
Street went on to confirm that Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy is meeting with officials. Community Secretary Steve Reed spoke to the local council, and the Home Office is working to support the police, all to enable a racist...
The Home Office is actually has completely gone. We've got a far left Home Office. We know that much. And that is what's running the government, along with China, as far as I know, or as far as I think. And that is conspiracy theory, if anybody was wondering.
Football firm to attend a football match.
They're not a firm, they are football supporters, and there's a lot of football families that like football and go to these football matches. To say it's a firm, you complete and utter brainwashed idiot.
British politics is pretty crazy, but that's a new one.
And you're not.
The majority of party leaders seem to agree with the Prime Minister. A Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch, called the ban a...
That's because they're not mentally ill like you, my friend. That's because they're not mentally ill like you.
...quote, national disgrace, and said the Prime Minister should guarantee that Jewish fans can walk into any football stadium in this country. Again, this elision between Jewish and Israeli, they're foreign...
Something that Starmer said that I actually agree on. And that's probably the first and only thing I'll ever agree on him with.
...foreign football fans from another country following a foreign team. What's the agenda here when you're talking about Jewish rather than Israeli? We all know what the agenda is, of course. Lib Dem leader Ed...
Jewish rather than Israeli. Now, again, people that live in Israel. There are Arabs that live in Israel. There are Jews that live in Israel. They live peacefully. On the Palestine side, mostly, it's mostly Muslims, I'm afraid. But they're a warmongering race. That's what they do. They're the extreme side of it. The same as we have the extreme left and we have the extreme right.
Davey said the decision must be reversed as soon as possible, and that it's completely wrong to tackle anti-Semitism by banning its victims. So those guys smashing up Amsterdam are victims. And by the way, if they call your sister a slag and spit at you and start climbing the front of your house and you do anything about it, woe betide you because you're an anti-Semite.
Again, what we'll do is we'll go back to the Palestinian protests that's happened every single weekend for the last 2 years. This is no excuse to stop a simple football match at Villa Park.
The world of Kemi Badenoch and Keir Starmer and Ed Davey. Then there was Reform's Nigel Farage. He said, this takes racial discrimination to a whole new level. Who knew Nigel Farage, of all people, wanted foreign thugs into Britain? He'd never wants that, of course. It's never allowed.
Who knew that he's trying to get him out of Britain, you twat? What?
Unless they're Israeli. The pro-Israel lobby group Campaign Against Anti-Semitism has already threatened to bring a judicial review over the decision, calling it an instruction to commit direct discrimination against Israelis and or indirect discrimination against both Israelis and Jews. By the way, that's an organisation which is meant to be looking out for the interests of Jews in this country, British Jews. But now it's bringing a case with regards to a foreign football firm. But if you say that the Israel lobby extends to these kinds of organisations, that they're representing the interests of an overseas government or people outside the UK.
So what happened during the last World Cup?
Again, good luck. You're an anti-Semite. On Newsnight, Telegraph journalist Poppy Coburn said this.
Why would Israeli football fans not be safe in Britain's second city? Are we seriously saying, just after there's been this terror attack in Manchester, an anti-Semitic terror attack, that we cannot have Israeli football fans come here and be assured of their safety, and that's a policing issue? I think it's disgraceful.
The petition that Ayub Khan...
So let's make it clear. It's Birmingham City Council and basically the cronies over in Birmingham and the club that have basically said no Jews can come to the football match, and the excuse they've used is because they can't guarantee their safety.
Signed and was behind with Jeremy Corbyn was about the fact as well that Aston, the area, is a very diverse area, majority Muslim, and that...
Make it clear that this is the BBC.
Those people
Jews
would not be
walk
safe
through this area.
No, that those people would not be safe from the fans.
Okay, so I think Robert Jenrick, when he made those comments, a couple of weeks ago, that were considered very inflammatory, that were making comments about the city of Birmingham, about its struggles with integration, perhaps he had a little bit more, credibility than people were necessarily giving him, because I think that's a pretty massive integration issue if we can't have foreign tourists coming to see a football game.
They're just foreign tourists, folks. They're just foreign tourists. They were
Correct. Yeah.
talking about how the children in Gaza are dead and...
So let me make this clear, okay? So he's trying to say that they're not just foreign tourists, they're dangerous people. They're dangerous people coming over to this country to cause trouble, to cause mayhem and everything else, maybe beat somebody up or something like that. Yet he's all for thousands upon thousands of immigrants coming over on boats that may cause trouble and do more than beat somebody up. Again, and I am going to say it, just saying. This is how brainwashed these people actually are.
They were smashing things up. By the way, they racially abused some of their own players in Israel. Maccabi Tel Aviv. There's an Ethiopian Israeli Jewish player, Ethiopian heritage. They do monkey noises. They abuse Arab players on their own team, but they're just tourists.
So this guy's an Islamist. He basically loves Islam.
Look, I can be swayed by the argument that, look, even if bad people are coming to watch a football match, then you can use targeted travel bans and you can have a mass police
Let's take
presence.
his advice, shall we?
You can say all of those things, and maybe we could do that. But I find it remarkable that the right of politics, I'm not talking about Poppy Coburn, she's a young person, I'm talking about people like Robert Jenrick, Nigel Farage and all the rest of them.
It's got to the point where you know what they're going to say next. That's how... They're just like a stuck record, and it's always the same thing over and over and over again. They just put it to different things. It's
20 years been saying that we shouldn't be giving the state more resources, and now they're saying that actually West Midlands Police presumably should have much, much, much greater resources to police things like this, because
we've needed greater resources in the police for flaming years since the Tories were in control. 20,000 police officers down that were never replaced, and the ones that did they replaced them with was PCSOs who don't have the powers that the police actually have.
Let's be perfectly honest, a racist Israeli football firm going to one of the most ethnically diverse areas of the country. Yeah.
Joe Jones saying it's scripted. Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely 100% agree.
It's probably a very bad idea. particularly after they perpetrated a genocide as a country, Israel. There's a broader geopolitical context, isn't there? It's like a Russian football team going to play a game away in Poland, in a Polish city, which has a massive Ukrainian emigre community. And the Russian football firm is really racist, and they're known to chant about, how fucking stupid Ukrainians are and Poles are. You're like, yeah, something bad might happen here, guys. And that's the assessment made by the police. That's their job.
All he needs to do now is a Nazi salute, don't he? And he'll be right up there, won't he? Fucking Ryland looking motherfucking wannabe.
You can agree or disagree with it, but it's quite obvious why they made that decision. It's not inexplicable. It's certainly not anti-Semitic. It's also really important to say that a ban on away fans isn't unprecedented or even that unusual.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Frankfurt fans were banned from going to play in Naples, that's Napoli, very, very recently.
This is England, not Italy.
That's in the last few months. That was because of the risk of violence between those fans. And then last October, supporters of the Dutch club PSV Eindhoven were banned from another Champions League match at Paris Saint-Germain by French authorities because of previous disturbances. So in the last 2 years, we've had, 2 years, I'll say that again. So in the last 2 years, we've had 2 separate cases. Naples, Paris, doing something very similar to Aston Villa and Birmingham, but they can't do it. It's unacceptable because the people at the receiving end are Israeli. You have to make a special case, it seems. In 2023, Polish team Legia Warsaw's fans were barred from 5 European away games, and that was after a match against, guess who, Aston Villa, which saw scenes of violent disorder and acts of criminal damage. West Midlands police said officers were faced with disgusting and highly dangerous.
Now, if you agree with what Birmingham have actually done and Aston Villa have actually done, banning these people from coming to the football match, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I personally disagree with it. I don't think anybody should be banned going to a football match. They should have information on these people that are the football hooligans. They can't tarnish everybody with the same brush, but as we all know, the far left do that all the time. They do it over and over and over and over again. And we also know that they're very anti-Semitic. For example, we still have the Palestinian protests going on in Great Britain, even though Donald Trump has been over and sorted out Gaza and Israel. Now, Hamas will not lower their weapons, so Donald Trump's going to do it for them. And that is what will happen. And when he says he's going to do something, he actually does it. It's nothing like Keir Starmer.
Dangerous scenes, including having flares thrown at them. And now the UK Football Policing Unit also supports the decision to ban Maccabi fans. But Birmingham's Safety Advisory Group says it will review the ban if police change their risk assessment from the current high risk level. And let's be real, it is high risk. This is really, really important. A plurality of Brits support the ban on Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, with 42% calling it the right decision and only 28%.
Yeah, but that's 42%.
Saying it's the wrong decision. So just over 1 in 4 people agree with effectively our entire political class.
So what that actually says is half people don't know because they don't really watch football. I mean, where do these guys get their statistics from? Your gov, run by Labour.
50% don't know. But like I say, the plurality of those who've responded to this YouGov poll agree it's the right decision. If you have those people plus the don't knows, it's 3/4 of the public. 1/4 thinks it's the wrong decision.
So let's have a look. We've got here the right decision. People think it's the right decision. 42% Conservatives, I'm taking that means 35. Labour 47. Lib Dems 47. Reform 30. So then you've got the wrong decision, 28%. So Conservative 45, Labour 22, Lib Dems 23, Reform 49. So there's an overwhelming majority, I would say, there on the Reform side. People that don't know, 21% of Reform said they don't know. Lib Dems 30, Labour 31, Conservatives 20.
The entire political class is on the same side as 1/4 of the public. This is the wrong decision.
Correct.
Makes you think, doesn't it? On a broader point about the polling of football matches, we know that football-related violence and disorder is costing the taxpayer dearly. An estimated £70 million per year goes...
I can name something else that's costing the British a lot of money as well. Immigration and Palestinian protests with all the policing that you've done over the past 2 years, mate. Again, just saying.
On safeguarding football matches, with most of that spent on Premier League matches in England. During the 2024-25 season...
And how much does football actually bring into the UK?
Number of football matches in England and Wales with reported incidents of disorder increased by 18%. And those incidents included football-related violence, disorder, antisocial behaviour.
Well, how about knife crime up 60% in London alone in the past 2 years?
And harm. The National Police Chiefs Council and Met Commissioner Mark Rowley reckon football clubs need to...
Trustworthy bloke, that Mark Rowley, in bed with Sadiq Khan. Brilliant statistics that they've got in London for doing an absolutely diabolical job of keeping Jewish people safe. Same as Manchester.
Start paying their fair share towards policing matches because the police are subsidising the clubs that quite happily spend up to £1 billion in a single transfer
That's a big
window.
claim.
Look, for the Premier League, that seems quite sensible to me. There you go.
The Premier League seems quite sensible to me. You think the Premier League or football itself is even sensible? UEFA, you think they're not corrupt? You think the Premier League isn't corrupt when it's full of oligarchs and things like that? This bloke isn't even on this planet. He's not even on this planet, is he? You need to get off the herbal remedies, mate, and smell the coffee.
You go. Helena, why is Keir Starmer trying to protect a racist, violent...
Just to point out, everybody, this is a bloke.
Israeli football firm, and why haven't Israel been kicked out by UEFA?
I mean, very important questions. I mean, it is worth pointing out, as you say, these are two separate issues. The very specific behaviour of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans versus the broader inclusion of Israeli teams in international competitions are two separate things.
I think it's a bloke. I could be wrong. Have I just misgendered somebody? Ooh.
Because you can, for example, just ban the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans because of the fact that they're violent racists, whilst also not agreeing with our position broadly on the left, which is that Israel should be boycotted internationally in terms of sporting events because of what's happening with regards to the genocide in Gaza, in the same way as Russia have been banned for similar reasons of war crimes, illegal invasions, and what have you. But if we just take very specifically the case against Maccabi fans from Maccabi Tel Aviv, okay, it's really telling just how much the political class in this country refuses to accept the reality of what Israeli society looks like today and the opinions of what obviously the minority of the really far-right ultras believe, and indeed the broader...
There it is, the far-right.
...opinions of Israeli society, especially towards Palestinians. They will cloud it with this idea it's just a Western society, just like anybody else. It was similar as if you travelled to anywhere in Europe and they're just the same as that. When in reality, because of the nature of the Israeli state, the nature of the occupation, right, and the nature of
Joe Jones, definitely a dude.
Ethno-state, certain beliefs are more prominent
in bringing something up about raise the colours in a few minutes, so just stay tuned.
Israel than they are in other places. And Maccabi fans are Kahanists. They are far-right ethno-nationalists, hence why they say things like...
Sure about that, mate, because you don't even know whether you're a girl or a boy, do you? Let's be honest here. You don't even know what sex you are, let alone what's far right, what's far left, what's even fucking down.
Like death to Arabs, for example, or indeed, they will have very specific hate chants like you...
Like from the river to the sea, global intifada, very specific, calling for mass genocide of all Jews. Yeah.
Played earlier on in the clip there, which is not in relationship to Palestinians more broadly, but it's in relationship to the other Tel Aviv football club, Hapoel Tel Aviv, who are a more kind of leftist team. They're still like Labour Zionists, right? They're not pro-Palestinian or anything
Zionists. Like that. If anybody thinks it's bad to be a Zionist because you support Jewish beliefs or you are a Jewish person or something like that, it's never been more dangerous for a Jew to walk around Manchester or London in recent years. Labour have got this anti-Semitic problem that they have had for years, and it isn't going to go away anytime soon. And it's people like him, this person here, Nigel, or whatever his real name is, because you can guarantee under that desk it's flapping about every bloody where. that he's anti-Semitic.
But because they aren't far-right Kahanists like Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are, they get told that they are the whores of Arabs, quote unquote. And indeed, we saw and we heard the very kind of ridiculous and offensive things that the Maccabi fans would say about that. They do support the real kind of ethno-nationalist, fascist far-right in Israel. And
he went all out there, fascist far-right Israel.
that is why they behave in the way that they do. But because we...
So why did the left behave in the way that they do? Because they're over-emotional idiots. That's why.
Cannot admit that Israel is a ethno-nationalist project. We cannot admit that when we are making friends with people like Netanyahu...
We'll admit that if you admit that you're all anti-Semitic, racist idiots. How's that? That sounds like a fair deal, don't it? But the difference will be that we have all the evidence for that, and you haven't got one fucking shred of evidence for anything you call anybody Nazi, fascist, racist, sexist, homophobic, or any of those slurs that you use out on the streets every weekend at a Palestine protest. Said that cock in a frock.
We're making friends with a man both in his own party and the people who he's in coalition with are part of this very kind of far-right fascist part of Israeli society that fundamentally believes in Jewish supremacy. That is the fundamental basis of their ideology. It's impossible to be able to actually look at this system and look at the fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv in any kind of reasonable way, because it has to be hidden to ensure that we can maintain our links with Israel as a power base in the region for the West. That's the broader geopolitical constraints here.
Yeah, just coming back to what Joe Jones said, definitely a dude. Yeah, I've just seen his arms, his muscly as buggery as well.
Which forced them to go, well, if they're banning Exeter Maccabi fans because they're from Tel Aviv, they're from Israel, must be anti-Semitism. There can't be any other reason why. For example, that there are these kind of
like shovels
sentiments about specifically Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, but not Hapoel Tel Aviv fans, right? Whilst I personally believe that Hapoel Tel Aviv should be banned from international competitions because of the occupation, because of the genocide, because of what Israel does, just in the same way we would do with apartheid South Africa. When it comes to the specific nature of what is being talked about here, where the West Midlands police, in all of their wisdom, have said these fans are too violent, they're too racist, they're too extreme, we can't allow...
The same as Palestine actions are too racist, too extreme, too far left, too fucked up in the head, don't know whether they're girls or boys, don't know much about themselves, call everybody all these names, putting targets on people's backs, where two Jewish people get murdered in Manchester. Yeah, okay then.
Them, but haven't made that claim in any other Israeli sporting team, shows you that it's nothing actually about the reality of them being Israeli. It's what those actual fans do and what those fans actually believe. And what is crazy to me, I mean, it shouldn't be crazy. I mean...
You are crazy. You are crazy.
It feels wrong. Is the one thing that the kind of the Starmerites of this world, actually, indeed, when it comes to the Liberal Democrats too, because they're also part of the entirety of our political class outside of the left, who seem to be united in decrying this decision made.
So I'm just laughing at something Joe Jones has just said. It holds all the shit in though, mate, doesn't it?
By West Midlands Police, is that they are proud, in their own words, to be supportive of British institutions, right? They are the pro-institution part of our...
Because it's Great Britain. Why shouldn't we be proud? If you're not proud of being British and you think British is horrible and everything else, you're a fucking traitor. Just like Starmer.
Politics. And yet, the one time where they refuse to back our institutions is when it comes to Israel. When it comes to the wise decisions being done for public safety concerns, nothing to do with geopolitics, but specifically public safety concerns.
The thing that blows my mind is these people sit here talking about public safety concerns whilst having a terrorist prescribed organisation called Palestine Action out on the streets every single weekend. They have absolutely no room to talk about this. They've got absolutely no skin in the game to even be mentioning this subject. When everything they are mentioning on this live that they are doing now, they do themselves. That is so far what I've got from this live video. Everything they have said, they have done themselves. So they can sit there and call the kettle black all they bleeding want. They're nothing but sodding hypocrites. And they are the bleeding fascists.
Concerns that are being pointed out by West Midlands Police. Our government wants to override them to be able to support Israel, right? This is very similar indeed to when there was the case of the doctor who was cleared by
one case. Yeah, we've got thousands of cases of stuff that Palestine Action have done.
Tribune of Anti-Semitism for talking about a disagreement with Jewish supremacy and with Zionism within the NHS.
Or maybe, let's just say, arresting somebody and putting them in prison for 2 years for a Facebook post.
Where Wes Streeting made open statements saying that this case should be reopened and it's ridiculous that she was cleared by an independent tribunal. Like, this is the pro-institution.
Now, another thing is with the left, they don't like free speech unless it's actually favouring them. That's something else you will find a lot, and they like playing the victim a lot and gaslighting people. It's a very old ideology. There are certain books out there. I'll leave some links in the description if I can find them.
People should not be intervening in what are supposed to be independent processes for political ends. But again, turns out there is one exception when it comes to that rule on when these politicians can and can't intervene with these independent institutions.
So Joe Jones has just come up with an absolutely excellent question. I won't read it out, but all right, I will. I'll sod it. Do you think Moss would let him on? And I can't read it because that's all the way down there. Do you think that Moss would let him on, whatever that says, there and talk like that? No, I totally agree with you. I don't think they would, no.
And when it is to defend Israel. Why is this? Why is it indeed that we've had...
Well, the reason that we're defending Israel is because on October the 7th, Hamas went in there and killed thousands of people, women, children, and murdered their families in front of each other, and then took a load of them away for hostages and did unspeakable things to them. Now, I've watched a lot of videos in the past of what, certain ideologies have done to people, the old and all that business. This does not come close to what Hamas have actually done. It does not come close. If one of these idiots here were to watch some of that body cam footage, they would change their mind instantly about everything. I promise you they would change their mind, because it is the only way I can describe it without swearing and without going into too much detail is it's hell times 10. Think of the worst thing you can think of and then times it by 100. I am not joking. I could not view it.
Had this Labour government and indeed the Labour Party in the run-up to the election essentially abandoning every principle they've ever held in chasing this idea of popularism. It's this Democratic Party thing coined by David Shaw, which has been adopted by Morgan McSweeney in the Labour Party, where you only really take what you think are political positions that speak to what the broader electorate believes, right? You don't take minority positions because that might lose you voters, it might lose you support. And that is what has led to the position that we're in. Like, Morgan McSweeney sees that it polls highly that we should be reducing welfare, so they go after winter fuel, they go after disability benefits. But that wasn't popular because of...
You think that's the real reason? You actually think that is the real reason? Wow.
The fact that people realised what that would mean was actually...
Keep saying the fact, yet none of it is fact, is it?
Implemented. But the one time where they don't go where public opinion is, as we've seen from the polls about how we treat Israel geopolitically, how we deal with arms sales to Israel, how we deal about boycotts with Israel.
I'll tell you what arms we were selling to Israel. You know the spring and the button that you press to launch a missile? We were selling the plastic spring and button to them that was made in a factory. And what happened was some Palestine protesters decided to scale the fence and go and vandalise the factory. And they're worried about a fucking football match.
Israel, and now indeed how we deal with violent Israeli Kahanist fascist football fans coming to this country to
there it is again, fascist football fans
stir up trouble, right? Overwhelmingly public opinion is on the side of the ban being put in place.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You complete twat. No, it is not. You liar. You pathological bent idiot. He is crazy.
And yet these people who supposedly want to go where public opinion is, want to govern for the whole country, and what broader public opinion is, suddenly they're completely out of step with public opinion. I have never seen in this country, outside of...
Talk about people being completely out of step with public opinion. How many people turned up to the Tommy Robinson event? They said 150,000. It was more like 3 million. And then they tried turning round and saying that they attacked a load of police officers. There were 28 arrests, of which 13 were from the far left, Palestine Action, who had a much smaller number of people there. It had been about a couple of thousand. 13 from 2,000 and 13 from 3 million is a big difference. So who's the more violent side? Again, we had Charlie Kirk murdered by the far left. We had 2 assassination attempts on President Trump by the far left. If you go and Google or GTP chat who has the most prescribed terrorist organisations, the far left or the far right, you'll find it's the far left. Antifa in America, Palestine Action, Hamas, all these far left ideologies on the Islamist sides. And they come out with all this bullshit. And weak-minded people have been brainwashed and fell for it, which is very dangerous, because they're normally narcissistic as well.
Of maybe migration, a single issue to which our entire political class, doesn't matter whether it's Tory, Lib Dem, Reform or Labour, it doesn't matter who it is, right? Outside of the pro-independence parties and the Greens and the other parties to the left who...
Oh, not the Green Party, though. Not the Green Party, who want net zero, which is actually impossible to actually do. We're just wasting money. We should be putting money into nuclear and drill, baby, drill, like, you know, until we've got the nuclear capability of actually running the country from nuclear energy producing plants.
Are the ones who support West Midlands police here. Imagine getting the left to support the police, right? All of our permanent political class.
Reminder demographic of Birmingham, mostly. We'll have to try and put it up. In fact, I will. I'll put it up now. Let me just separate this from there. Turn that back there. I've got to get onto Google. I'll keep playing this video whilst that's happening.
Are opposed to public opinion broadly on what happens with Israel. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the ways in which that our permanent political class refuse to acquiesce to the demands of the electorate to treat Israel like the pariah state that it is, and to treat violent, Kahanist, racist football thugs as what they are, i.e. people who shouldn't be welcome in this country. I wonder why it is that it's this certain country that seems to break
I've got to stop
apart.
the video. People that are not welcome in this country. For example, people coming over on the boats illegally, entering and living in hotels illegally, doing unspeakable things to kids and families and things like that, you know, illegally. Is that what you're talking about there? Maybe. No, you're not, are you? You're talking about a few people coming over to watch a fucking football match. Let's be honest about it. That's exactly what you are. You're an anti-Semitic idiot.
This consensus about doing what the electorate want. It's very strange.
It is very strange. We have politicians falling over themselves to basically say to the Israeli version of Combat 18, please come in the country. And of course, this country, Britain, has had a long history of violent football hooliganism.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. We're going to have a look at the demographics of Birmingham. So we need to go to Google. So Birmingham population is estimated at approximately 2.7 million for the urban and the Lagos 2025 projects. About 0.74 of the city's demographic shows youthful population over the 35, significant ethnic minority, yeah, which are mostly Muslim, I believe. Birmingham, annual growth, migration. So it's all there. You could just go and Google that yourselves.
Right-wing politician in the 80s and 90s was seeking to define their politics and the authority and legitimacy and majesty of the state in contrast to it. Now they're saying they have to come.
Calm down, mate.
And you're right. It's just Israel. It is just Israel. And one of the reasons why, of
just
course,
Israel that has just witnessed, not 2 years ago, the most atrocious thing that's happened since the Holocaust. It's just Israel. It's only Israel. That's how much these people think of the Jews.
This is the power of the Israel lobby, the pro-Israel lobby, and Israeli, pro-Israel, pro-Zionist.
I'm going to stop the video there and mention Zionist at the end. Again, all this channel has shown me basically is very anti-Semitic, very far left ideology, very twisted, very evil. And they actually agree with this football ban on Jews going to watch the football match at Aston Villa. I don't agree with it personally, but I don't know what you guys think. Leave a comment in the video if you do agree with it, or even if you don't agree with it. This has been Street Switch Photography on a Friday night. Please go and hit the subscribe button. Go and give it a big thumbs up or a big thumbs down if you disagree. Leave a comment, and I will hopefully see you in the next live tomorrow. Bye for now.
Street Switch Photography.